Welcome back to the Mad Liberty Party, y'all. Where up is down, left is right, and the rules don't matter because we're all mad here. Sorry about being late. Shit happens sometimes. Welcome back to the show, y'all. I'm glad that both of you guys came. I love having both of you on, anyways. And first things first, I wanted to hear all about Virginia because, like, I made Mando and Magnus and all these other guys come in and tell us about what happened in their states. I would love to hear the story about what happened there and how it went and everything.
Oh yeah. Once again, thanks for having me, Mike. I appreciate it. Good to see you as well, Mando. It was fantastic for Virginia. We got some good points across. So as most people know, Virginia's was a day later than J17. We'd already cleared that with the organizers of the J17 event because J18 is our lobby day, which is we've been doing that for 9 years in Virginia. And I'm not going. So that's when a lot of us go and talk to the legislators. And we talk about laws we want changed or, repealed or added. It's just a chance to speak with your state legislators. And we've been doing it for like 9 years. And I wasn't about to take my boys and say, hey, let's go on the 17th and the 18th because a lot of us are having to work and stuff and trying to do 2 days. So we cleared it with the organizers and they allowed us to do it on the 18th. So we went down. I was eating dinner. It was ridiculous. I was eating dinner Sunday night. And we come out of the restaurant. I'm with my security team, and we come out of the restaurant, and we're swamped with reporters. And we kept trying to get away. There had to be 40 or 50 of them. It was ridiculous. And we were finally able to get away from them. We got boots on the ground Monday morning at about 10:30ish, and there was more reporters than protesters. And this is for a lobby day that drew 20,000 people last year, and the VCDL, Virginia Citizens Defense League, they had chanted last year, "We will not comply." Well, this year they chose to comply and not open carry because there's a new city ordinance banning open carry at protests or events. We obviously don't care. So me and about 12 other Boogaloo boys, we went in, we hit the ground, got swamped with 150 cameras. It was ridiculous. We minimized talking to the press as much as possible because obviously if you can minimize it, you can control the narrative a little more than you could if you had 12 different voices talking. So we were able to talk, pitch the same line to them. The police left us alone. We hand delivered several signs that said, where they posted no open carry. We hand delivered them filled with bullet holes. We obviously covered.
That was crazy.
Yeah, we obviously covered ourselves in a way where they can't pin nothing to us directly. We already have checked into that. We have legal teams we consult with before we go and do stuff like that. So it creates a big hubbub, but we do it in such a way that we don't incriminate anybody specifically. All in all, I think it went really well. The Black Panther Party came in along with Black Lives Matter. They acknowledged us. We hooted and hollered at each other, had a good time. Proud Boys came in. They weren't accepted by nobody. I called them bootlicking statist cucks. And
I saw Tim Pool talking about that. He was like, they called them statist cocks and was like all freaking out. And then he was like, they're mostly anarchists, y'all. I was like really impressed by how he covered that. But Luke Wachowski was there.
Yeah, it was. It was a good day. I think it opened a lot of eyes before we could even get the day underway. And by this time, we had stated to the reporters, "Hey, we're not Trump supporters," probably 50 times. And the Daily Mail posted a picture of me and 4 other dudes, and it's like, armed Trump supporters descend on Richmond, Virginia. But like all these other news agencies are out there, like these guys don't support Trump. And so it totally invalidated the Daily Mail's statement. And all in all, I think it was a really good time. We've kept everybody safe. Nobody's going to jail or gotten in trouble. We do it in such a way, to where the only person that flat can fall back on currently is myself.
That whole trying to get away from the reporters stuff, like, didn't you have that same problem, Mando? Because you were trying not to smoke at them, and they were just following you everywhere.
Mike, I imagine you haven't really heard from Kentucky yet.
No, not yet.
We ended up with 3 boys. It was me and Chris Seawolf. And we got there first. He went up to one of the Kentucky State Police, let them know, hey, we are here. We're armed. We're not trying to storm your building. You know.
Yeah.
And he let them know, and they're like, okay, fine, good. So he's coming back to me, and by the time he makes it back to where we parked at, there's a cluster of string of people behind him. It's all media. So and like we're not even like I don't even have like my guns out of the car yet. Like I'm putting shit on still.
And they're all over you.
Yeah. And like I guess I don't know who they interacted with before, but the first one that got up to me, they're like, is it gonna be okay if we ask you some questions? I'm like, that's kind of why we're here in the first place.
Yes, please ask questions.
So
destroy the narrative.
Stop assuming. Yeah.
And me and Seawolf had talked ahead of time about, making sure that we focus on what the event's actually about, what the boys stand for and everything. And so me and him fielded some of the most asinine and misinformed questions I've ever heard in my life.
Let me guess, you probably had the one like, it appears on the internet that y'all have white supremacists, but y'all seem a little different. I'm sure you got that one a lot.
It was covered. They're they kind of like went towards, so what kind of membership do we have? And we're like, everybody, your friends, your neighbors, your family. Yeah. I was like, you never know who's inside this movement because it attracts liberty lovers. It attracts people who want to be left alone in their lives.
Yep.
And, so we patiently fielded a bunch of questions for 45 or 50 minutes nonstop. And they finally got to where they were acting a little more satisfied with what they'd gotten from us. By that time, Lady had showed up. She was there with us.
I love Lady.
And the three of us went past the road barricade and went up to the front of the Capitol and stood there for a few minutes by ourselves with probably half of the full state's Kentucky State Police force around us, plus National Guard. So that was fun. And then a few minutes after we'd been there, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, a couple of members of Pharaoh's Guard had noticed us out of Louisville. They came over to talk. Yeah, they came over and talked to us for a minute. We're like, yeah, come on. We're glad you guys are here. They went back and then they brought the rest of theirs with them. They had about between the Guard and the BLM that came with them, they had about 24, 28, somewhere in that ballpark. So that
sorry if my phone keeps going off. I have a Boogaloo hater right now sending me memes of myself about being a Fed repeatedly because he must be watching your show, and I think he wants to
know, Mike, are you a Fed?
100% not. Pretty sure if I was a Fed, some of my boys would have already been like. There's nobody that's been arrested that has called back and been like, "Hey, I told this to Mike Dunn, and this got back." But apparently he's texting me repeatedly, like text. So if my phone keeps going off, I can't help it. I'm not going to block him. So.
It's just a very light buzz, so it's not that big a deal. We can't hardly hear it.
Good.
You might hear mine too, because I try to silence chats before this, but there's no way for me to hit all of them. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you just can't. And Mando, I also want to say kudos to you guys, man. Like what J17 and the 18th for us showed and proved is that everybody who says they're about it, they're not really about it. And so you guys going out there, I've seen videos and pictures from a couple different states, Arizona, Texas, Michigan, Ohio. Regardless of differences, the guys have my respect. The boys that went out there and stood up, you've got my respect. And that's what I want the movement to realize is all these yapping little dogs that want to critique, and you're going to get it. You're going to get it. You're going to get the yapping dogs that want to critique. But at the end of the day, you went out there and you stood up. And that speaks more for you than anything can. And so kudos to you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, especially that guy who went out there by himself. Holy shit.
I know, I saw that.
Oh,
yeah,
much respect.
There
I
there was
had
one boy in
groups.
Iowa that went out there with a megaphone and yelled at passersby while the cops stared at him funny.
I love it. I love it.
There's
I mean, that's how it starts, man. That's how it
there
starts.
there was two or
Yeah,
three two I forget if it was two or three boys in Georgia, and they coupled their event with a homeless coat drive.
yeah, I saw that. I thought that was fucking awesome because, like,
Yeah.
we have got to. It's not just about guns. We have got to literally replace the need for the state with our own fucking
Yeah,
hands.
we even in Virginia, we were able to help participate in a food drive for 61 different cities in Virginia, and some
Hell
acquaintances
yes.
of ours hosted that, and excuse me, we were able to donate into that as well, and that's definitely an important part for obviously every state. So kudos to the ones with that coat drive. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I really want like we were talking about here trying to do something like that, put together like packages and stuff, and we didn't actually have time to do it to get it set up in time. So like we
Yeah.
planned on trying to do it later, and our LP said that they would help. So I'm kind of excited about trying to do some stuff with them. It's been really hard getting the LP to go outside, and I mean, I hate to say it, but like I flat out like I have way more faith in the Boogaloo movement than I do the fucking LP at this point. And they've been doing this for fucking years, and I don't understand why they don't get that people want someone to say no. They don't want a safe national platform that won't scare people away. They want something that says no. And they want something that shows people
Well,
what's going to be there.
just look at what happened in 2016 with Trump.
Yeah.
The way he broke the mold, the way he refused to be politically correct, and yeah, I knew he was going to do exactly what he did. He went in there as an opportunist. I'm pretty sure his financial interests have paid off since then. But
Oh yeah.
he went out there and didn't care what people thought about him. Now imagine if we had candidates go out there and did that for actual liberty.
Well, see, that's what the whole Boogaloo is supposed to be. You know, even when I became
Yeah.
a part of it and
No,
got interested in the end of 2019 and early 2020, it was supposed to be those of us who were revolutionaries, and we believed that there was only one hope left for liberty, and we stood by it without caring. And you know, if the Liberty Party, which the Liberty Party itself is trash, but if the Liberty Party and Liberty adherents could actually start being like that and not caring like some of us have become, they could get a lot more done. I mean, just the few of us, and and you can mention the ones that are a little more extreme than some of us, but the few of us who have not cared have taken the Boogaloo, which has been a small portion of people, and made it nationwide news and a nationwide issue repeatedly because we've been so dedicated and we have proven we do not care. And if a party could
Yeah.
grasp that, ooh,
They'd
it could go so
be
many places.
unstoppable out there if you ask me. I saw this down here where uh, Tim was saying non-compliance to every single infringement is the only way to be heard loud and clear. No matter what we say, it's going to get twisted, so we should keep our mouths shut. I agree with the first half of that, but honestly, us not keeping our mouths shut is what's fucking built this fucking movement. It's what brings people here. If we continue to keep our mouths shut and hide our fucking faces away, they get to say and do whatever they want about us.
And there are times that you should keep your mouth shut. It's like when I told
Yeah,
my
there are
boys about
moments.
a month and a half ago, we didn't say a word to the press. All we said was liberty shall not be infringed, and we walked around. We didn't say a word. But then there's other times that obviously you definitely should speak and make it known that, hey, don't misinterpret my actions. This is what I'm here for.
Yeah, and I think that in the 17th 17th/18th was definitely about getting out there and speaking. I was really proud of the guys here because like we didn't have any coherent leader. They couldn't tell who was in charge or anything like that because there wasn't anyone. We all just went out there. I mean, we were all on the same page, obviously, but like
Yeah,
we all like split up and talked to the press, and we all said the same damn shit even
yep,
without
same
planning it
message.
because we all believe the same damn shit at the
That's
freaking
right.
core. Um,
Yep.
there's so many different people in this movement that um like it ends up being on you a lot because of the media and how you're, to be honest, you're good at grabbing the media, and you got a chance to step up, and I'm glad that you didn't let it drop because you brought a
Well,
lot
the
of
only thing
attention
that
to the movement.
the thing that sucks about it is, regardless of how many times I tell the media, I probably told them 170 times the other day, I do not represent the Boogaloo movement. I do not speak for the movement. I speak for myself and my boys. And I've said that repeatedly, but because you have 5 faces to pick from instead of 10,000 faces to pick from, the media automatically
Yes.
finds the one that has a little bit of charisma, and they eat it up. And so regardless of how many times, when I first started going viral in July, people were like, oh, he's a clout chaser. Well, first of all, I gave up 30,000 Trump followers. I ditched Trump to join the Liberty Movement because I believed it was right. The clout it's gotten me is the FBI following me around, the feds harassing me, my boys getting visited. If that's the kind of clout, then I definitely joined the wrong movement. And it's something that I never wanted. It just happened. And because there's only 5 of us, and if you want to go with Mando or Henry over in Ohio, there's only a few of us for the media to say, hey, let's talk to this person instead of 10,000 faces. So we're stuck being the continual face. And I've told the press repeatedly, I don't represent the movement. I represent myself. And there are people in the movement who see me as a spokesperson, but I don't represent the movement. And I've said repeatedly, I don't even lead the movement. There's Boogaloo boys out there that are like, Mike Dunn said he led the movement. Show me one time where I said it. Because I've said repeatedly, I don't lead it. It's autonomous. It's supposed to be autonomous, but it's just, so when you say, is it good you stepped up? I just did what I felt was right, and I got stuck with it. It's not something that any of these people that want the clout or want the fame or get jealous of it, it's not something they would enjoy because there's nothing to enjoy.
Yeah, and honestly, the people who speak the best, like I feel like I've had to prod some of them forward because I don't think that they realize that they're so fucking good at it. Um, we have so many freaking options and so many faces and so many voices to put out there, and J17 proved that because there were people all over the place putting their face out there, opening their mouth, speaking the truth.
Finally,
And
yes.
it caused, I actually noticed for the first time I saw that the media said Mike Dunn is a leader of the Boogaloo movement, not the leader of the Boogaloo movement. I don't know if
I noticed that as well.
That was a
I
big
did.
change. And I think that that's what we need to lean further towards. Like we need to get many faces out.
It's
here
like
because it's harder for them to twist a narrative,
Yeah, and it's like Ford Fisher, with News to Share. He asked me, he said, where should I go to actually see more Boogaloo boys? And I say, go to Ohio and speak with Henry. And there's been instances with media, I've had some Boogaloo boys get upset and say, oh, you don't never let us talk. You don't. I've told media to go talk to people. I've asked them for permission, say, hey, can I give you a number to media? People that I know would represent well. But then media not even care about it. So what I saw on J17 was media forced to care about it. And they realized, what, there are other figures in this movement. And honestly, it's like I was talking with New York Times. They've been doing an article on me since maybe February when I started getting big in the militia work. And I told them, I said, when you write this, do not call me the leader of the Boogaloo movement because there's no such thing. And they're supposed to be airing that on the 29th of this month. And hopefully they'll have it correct. But regardless of how much I pushed for them to report that and say that, a lot of times they don't want to. So then I catch the flack for it because the movement thinks that the movement wants to say, oh, we don't believe the news, but then sit there and believe the news on something else. And I'm sitting here like stuck, how am I supposed to get my voice out when I'm censored everywhere?
That is not the only thing that the movement does that on. It is very frustrating. And it's not just the Boogaloo movement, like the Liberty movement in general, like the whole thing. They get it. They get this mindset where they're like, well, the news lies when they talk about us, but then they believe them when they talk about other groups out there, like BLM groups.
Well, it's the same thing the right does about the left, or the left does about the right. And that's why the Liberty movement has that big of a problem, is because we're literally a melting pot of everybody who has ditched the authoritarianism of the right or left And it's, we all have different ideas, and a lot of us have those past. And so trying to get rid of it, is obviously something that might be hard for somebody to get over.
Yeah, a couple of nights ago, we were on here after the 17th talking about the different factions and stuff that are out there. And I absolutely love the fact that there are so many different groups that have formed out of this movement. There's like a
Yeah.
bazillion of them. It's hard to keep up with them at this point, which makes me incredibly happy. Um, I was, and I got the impression when you guys were doing the stuff with the Suns that you were kind of trying to like make it even more set out. Now, tell me if I'm wrong. Like, it kind of like sets you guys when you speak, it allows you to be able to be like, well, this is me and the Suns. We're
Yeah.
Boogaloo, but this is
It gave
us.
me, so when my team, my security team, my direct security team that works with me at my protest, when they came to me with the idea, they said, this will give you the chance to, all the people in the movement who say, oh, well, Mike Dunn don't speak for me. But they don't want to get upset when you speak because they're irritated, they contradict themselves, but this will give you the chance to speak for your group and your group along. And so we said, let's do it. Create our own branch. We're a mix of constitutional adherents and anarchists. We're a pretty fair mix right now. And then when I speak to media, I can say I speak for the Last Sons of Liberty, which is a branch of the Boogaloo. And if they record my words like that, then I won't have people out here that want to get upset because I'm simply a Boogaloo boy. And it was just another way to try to appease a movement that has nitpicked at everything people do who actually stand up and speak out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get kind of frustrated because like when people get pissed off at you for saying something, I'm like, well, why don't you get up and say something? Like, why don't we get you out there and everybody start? This is not going to be something that's going to be simple to get like them to pay more attention to the rest of the movement. It's going to have to be like a step by step, hand
Yeah.
guided thing because they don't want to, they're not going to do what we ask them to. First off,
Yeah.
they're gonna do what gets them clicks, and because the nation has seen your face all over the fucking place, they're gonna jump on you. And there are some other people out there who have made themselves like TikTok famous or whatever, and I think that we should grab onto all of those faces and start pushing them. But we as a movement are gonna have to stand behind that and like push them into the camera basically and
Yeah. And
continuously help bring these faces forward. Is that something that you're willing to help with? Because I mean, like you're the victim of the camera at this moment, as I like to say.
well, I mean, I've tried repeatedly. That's what I was saying. I've put reporters in touch with people and trying to give them the chance to talk. And that's what I was about to say is if you're actually getting out there, and I'm gonna use Mando for example again since he's sitting right here. If you're actually getting out there like Mando or somebody else, Henry, and you're putting in work, then talk to the cameras and say your piece and represent your people and your beliefs the right way. If you're not getting out there and putting in the work and you're out there not showing your face, which I understand there are reasons that people can't, but if you cannot go to that point, like myself, I've come to the point where I have nothing to live for. I honestly have nothing. I don't think people realize that about myself is I have nobody or nothing. So when I go out there and I put my face out there, it's because I literally do not care. So if you're not to the point of going out there and put in the work, then don't judge me for going out there and putting in the work. When you go out there and put in the work, speak for yourself, make yourself known, make your beliefs known, and it'll balance out in the end. I never go in front of a camera and I say, well, I believe this, but Mando believes this, and I disagree with. No, I'm out there going, I believe this, my boys believe this, and hey, kudos to Arizona, kudos to Michigan. Me and Henry from Ohio, we disagree on some things concerning Antifa, but I've still been out there and said kudos to Henry because he stood up. He's actually doing something, and that's all I want the movement to do is people to get active and stand up. And I know I'm sure I'm gonna have a question about January 6th, and this will play into that as well.
Well, before we get to that, on this topic that we're on, I've seen a lot of people. Okay, so I should explain J17 so that people can understand why things played out the way they did. When we first started these flyers, and I hate the fact that the first flyer is the one the media is focusing on because it was never supposed to get out that far.
Yeah.
We tested
which one? The one? The one calling for
the-
the armed march on DC.
The red and
Yeah.
yellow one.
with the Statue of Liberty on it.
It was that the one that called for the armed march in DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I reached out to somebody and was like, "Do you realize that if the Liberty Movement does it, only about 50 people are going to show up, and
Well, this
it's
is
going to be a
example
disaster."
because it was. I don't know if you remember. It was me in your MeWe group. We shared it there. We took what you said and what a couple other people had said that they knew about DC. We went back to the drawing board. We took some other criticisms of that initial flyer. We started our second one brand new from scratch.
Yeah,
Was that
I
the
mean,
green
like,
and black one?
and it
Yeah.
wasn't
It was like
just-
green, white, and black. That's the one I shared. Yeah, because it took the armed march in DC off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't just stop with one flyer. Like, I mean, I've got a bunch of like, there
was
a
like 7 or
shit
8
ton of them. Like, there was like fucking 18 of
Well,
them.
there was even there was 2 or 3 more after that set you're showing right now.
Yeah, I know. There were actually
Yeah.
some more on there besides that I didn't end up getting into this one because it happened, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna bother adding new ones now because I didn't get caught up. But yeah, there was a bunch of them.
There was a whole thought process to how the flyers work too. When we started this, we're like, well, we're fighting against a media narrative. Why don't we use their own tool? Why don't we psyop the people into this idea, this whole concept? And that's what we did with the flyers. We kept every identifying marker off of them. There is no Liberty. There is no Boogaloo. There is no Libertarian Party. There's
Aside
no.
from some of the ones that were made by side people, I did
Yeah.
notice that some side people made their
But
own
the
flyers
originals
and
were
they had
made
people,
to be
but the originals
to have no
yeah.
source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that raised a lot of questions, even inside the movement. People didn't think it was ours.
Yes, I had a hard time convincing people that this wasn't a Fed psyop. Like they thought the feds were doing it, and I was like, "No, I can't yet tell you who started this, but I can
which
promise
apparently
you
that
it's
means-
not feds."
Yeah, I
Apparently
had
that-
several people come to me and say, "Hey, you need to stay away from this. This is a Fed operation." And I'm like, I connected with the people who did it, and it's not a Fed operation.
Yeah, so apparently our attempt to pull our own psyop worked very well.
Yeah.
We psyoped our own people too. But we kept it that way. We kept it completely unknown until it got to the point where we were basically like, okay, there's too much infighting about this and where it came from. So that one Saturday, I went on Country Boys podcast. And right after that, like 30 minutes after we got done, I went on Mike's podcast here.
Yeah.
With Nate was on that one with me.
I was kind of nagging them at this point. I was like, "When are you guys gonna fucking come out? Because this is
And-
getting crazy out here."
We
with
wanted
the ideas.
we wanted at least the boys in the movement to know that yes, this is ours. It didn't come from anywhere else.
Yeah.
I felt like
And
going
so that's why
outside
we
and
did
banging
that.
pans and being like, "Mando, come out and play." But as soon as that happened, everybody started to calm down, which was good.
Yeah. So and okay, Sam.
At
The,
least on the inside. On the
here's-
outside, it still remained some sort of crazy trap.
Yeah, and so we, our intent was to get the people, the American masses, to try and show up to these things that we could speak to them. But what ended up happening after the 6th, the media caught on. The Threepers were telling their people to stay home. The Proud Boys were telling theirs to stay home, which was fine by us. And the media is out there saying, "Hey, this is a trap. They're going to do this. What happened on the Capitol Hill? They're going to do that.
They're going to do it in every capital.
Country." Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I literally had a reporter call me on the 17th and ask me if I intended to storm my capital.
well,
Dude,
what
I had the
happened-
freaking Capitol Police Intelligence dude fucking call me, and I was like, oh, I was not set up to do this.
Yeah, I know at least 6 or 7 boys that had contact from the FBI.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got FBI. We got 3 separate FBI visits.
Yeah, I know there was a visit in Florida. There was a visit in my guy Seawolf actually got a phone call from a field agent. There was visits in Utah. There was visits in all over the place.
There were 2
Is it
visits in
hard for you
California. There were
guys?
3 visits in Virginia, and there were 2 visits in Texas.
I gotta
Yeah.
ask because
Yeah.
for me this is really hard. Like when police officers try to speak to me, or when authority figures try to speak to me, I can keep my cool and be chill, but it makes me fucking angry that they're talking to me. Is it hard for you guys to fucking talk to them and keep your chill too? Because like after I talked to the police about this leading up when they called me, my blood pressure was fucked. I was so angry. Like I was just, does it bug you guys?
I personally haven't had to yet. I'm
Well,
sure I'm sure it's coming soon enough. But
I get to the point. They don't bother me when they talk to me. They went and visited a female associated with me a few months back. I wanted,
Are you
well, a month
serious?
ago. Yeah, after the first time I went to DC and ended up defending a free speech group. They weren't a free speech group. They were actual communists. And y'all know me, how I feel about commies, but I defended their right to be
Yeah.
there. And I was standing against Proud Boys. And after that went down, the FBI decided they wanted to talk to a girl associated with me and say, has Mike seemed a little pissy lately? And that's when I got ticked off, because it was like, you can literally
Yeah,
come and talk to
that's
me and like ask me questions, but you're going to go to somebody associated with me and try to get information from them. And that's what bothered me most, was them going to somebody else besides me.
I'm sure
yeah,
that
that
was
would piss
the
me off.
intent.
Yeah, definitely,
Oh
probably.
man,
But
jeez.
the point I was in, that's why I'm glad we brought up the Fed visits. The point I wanted to make, at that point in time, between the 6th and the 17th, everybody's like, don't do this, you're going to get killed, don't go, etc., etc. You're going to let people know who you are. You're going to let the feds know who you are. They're already visiting our boys. They
Yeah,
know
they
They
already know
already
who we
know
are.
who we are.
They
They
are
know definitely who we are.
they were. Hey, I had an inner group on Snapchat of like 10 boys, and these boys are boys that added me, and they had all vetted each other. Military. I can't get into a lot of things. And when the feds visited one of them, he showed them screenshots from that Snapchat. So when people think that, oh, the feds ain't on to me yet, they're on to you. You just got to play your cards right and be very, very, very careful.
and
Yeah,
so
don't
like
fuck up.
whenever people are like, we shouldn't put our faces out there, I'm like, no, they've proven that they know who we are.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
the best way that we can counter that is those of us that feel able, those of us that are willing to do it, do need to get out there, be a voice that's heard, and show people we're not this bunch of guys that's trying to, you know, destroy your society.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
trying to bring harm to our friends and neighbors. We're not trying to see the feds, you know, trying to scare our family members.
Yeah, the issue is with the
But
government, not our
but
friends and family and neighbors. And
right. And
Yeah, and
the point is, I mean, you know, we have to express, you know, like, no, we're not a bunch of far right Trumpers, because you have to
God
answer
no.
that one
God
every other
no.
time, right? But I mean, we're not all the same either. There's anarchists, there's minarchists, there's NCOMs inside the movement. There's
and
full-fledged
caps.
libertarians. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there's
Yeah.
full-fledged libertarians that believe in the Libertarian Party yet, and that's
both
fine.
Yeah.
actually.
Boogaloo is a
Because
massive blanket statement.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's one of the reasons why I was drawn to it, not gonna lie. I mean, like, the MLTP has always been a unity group across the table and shit, you know. And I was drawn to it because it was so varied. There were so many different kinds of people.
but at the same
I know
time,
when.
everything we do is voluntarist. So somebody shouldn't feel
Yep.
like they're forced to put their
Yeah.
faith out there either.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
100%.
I hold a higher risk putting my face out there than a lot of people do. Because, I
yeah,
mean, I've got 3 sons in bed in here right now, and I've got nieces and nephews, and like that worries me, with my face becoming public like it did Sunday. But at the same time, they're the entire reason I'm here.
yeah.
Yeah.
so that they don't have to, hopefully.
It's
Exactly.
because our fathers didn't, and so our children don't have to.
Exactly. And I mean, when
So
I
and,
get
and
out, I
so
mean, because I get really hard on people sometimes. I'm like, well, if you're not gonna get your face out there, then don't fucking bitch about the people who do. But like, I'm not trying to say that if you don't get your face out there, you're not doing anything either. Because there are a lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
people out
definitely,
there who
definitely.
do a lot of shit, but you don't see their faces because we can't. And y'all are invaluable.
Yeah, it's
Um,
kind of like I like to look at it like this. If you managed a Facebook group and we're big in a Facebook group, um, don't judge me for the way I talk to media or the way I am on the street. Now, come to me with constructive criticism on the way I build a group or something like that, or give me pointers. But criticize in the capacity that you're available in and that you understand. And that's all I've tried to do with people. I don't think y'all have ever seen me just call somebody out, particularly like publicly, and be like, oh, this is terrible. Generally, I'm like, hey, why don't we do this a different way? But I do know I got a few more minutes. I wanted to answer the questions because I know you said Mendo might have had some questions concerning January 6th, along with some others,
yeah.
and I do want to answer those before I have to dip on you guys. And I'm not here to lie. I'll be completely open. I'm not scared. The movement's not going to cancel me. Nobody's going to cancel me because I stand for what I believe in, and I don't regret anything I've done. But I will answer to the best of my ability. And if I've done something wrong, I'll admit to that. But I will be glad to converse about it with somebody who's willing to converse and not do like some of the MeWe groups that created a group chat that literally said crap on Mike Dunn group chat. So,
Yeah.
So I mean, to bring the concerns that everybody has brought about what happened
Yeah.
on the 6th and the aftermath of that, to sum up everyone's concerns about it is just one question: why? Why claim that?
All right. So here's the thing. I run Last Sons. We talked about this earlier. All right.
Yeah.
So when I arrive in the Capitol at 6:30 p.m., I get debriefed by a group of Last Sons who are Boogaloo boys, and I'm not going to disavow them. I'm not going to disown them. I've stood by them. They've stood by me. I get debriefed by people with code names who I do not know who they are. Legally, there's nothing that can be. The FBI's already had a conversation about this. If I don't know their names, I can't be at fault for it. There's no incrimination of it either. But anyways, they debriefed me saying, hey, we were in the crowd earlier today. We went around making some jokes. There were other people there. We don't know who they were. They sent me a few photos of them. We're still working on that. But they were going around insinuating, storming the Capitol. And we were making jokes about like, nah, there's no way you storm the Capitol. And mind you, this was probably, I don't know the exact number of Boogaloo boys. This was probably 17 or 18 of them that were there. And they were there just because it was a chance to observe. They've participated in every sort of protest in Virginia, from Black Lives Matter to peaceful BLM Antifa protest to peaceful Trump protest, because they've stood by the First Amendment to the Constitution, the right of the people to peacefully assemble regardless of political identity. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be centrist and not align with either side. So they happen to be there. They begin, making jokes in the crowd. This is what they're telling me. They're debriefing me on. And then the crowd gets ramped up to go inside the Capitol building. And they're like, oh crap, man, do y'all realize that these very people who've been sending us to die in wars, overtaxing us, the very source of our issues is right in these other two rooms, and they got caught up in the heat of things and they participated. And they sent me footage that they said, hey, you're welcome to post this, obviously be careful, whatever. So what I did was I presented it to them. I said, here's a statement I'm going to release. Is this okay with you guys? Since you guys were the ones involved, is this okay? They said yes. We posted a statement saying, hey, Boogaloo was involved, particularly the Last Sons of Liberty, which is in the statement. The Last Sons of Liberty of the Boogaloo movement were involved in this. They saw it as a chance to harass the feds, because all we've done is be harassed by the feds. The feds struck first years ago. And so that's what they did. They got caught up in the heat of the moment. They said, yo, we're actually going in here where the source of our trouble is, and we get to be a part of this, regardless of Trump. We're not with Trump. Everybody knows we're not. Almost everybody now, through the media is like, hold up, maybe these guys are not Trump supporters. Duh. But they got the chance to go inside the Capitol and be like, we're inside this building in an illegal manner. And I can't sit here and fault them for that. I'm not going to sit here and disavow them because they did what they felt was right, a chance to stick it to the feds. And so when I came out and made that statement, I made it in such a way when I got a visit from the FBI, I had a conversation with them. Nobody can be pinned with it. Nobody was incriminated in it. It hurt nobody. Nobody has gotten in trouble from it. The only one who is tied to it is my name. And because I was debriefed by people who I don't know their real name, I don't know their faces, and the only pictures that the FBI might have of them, they're masked up. There's no way to actually find out their identity, and they haven't. And the boys were okay with it that actually went there. I said, yeah, I'll stand by you guys like you guys stood by me. And then we fed Reuters a particular message. Reuters made an article, blew it out of proportion, but we did what we thought was funny in a way, was we ran a psyop against media, and we proved that they would eat every story you gave them up like that. And that's what they did. And they took the Boogaloo from being something that had been back burner, that had kind of died down since maybe November. They took it and put it right back in the limelight as what it was supposed to be when a lot of us became a part, because everybody wants to talk about, oh, I was Boogaloo when it was the memes. No, you became Boogaloo when it was popular. The Boogaloo became popular in 2020, and that's when everybody started being open about it. We took the Boogaloo and put it back into the limelight as a revolutionary movement, which is what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be peace and love and unicorns and rainbows. It's supposed to be our rights are being trampled on, trans rights are being trampled on, or if you want to cover the whole board, LGBTQ, racial injustices are happening across the nation. Our voices are not being heard. It's time to stand up and do something about it. And everybody wants to meme about spilling ABC soup blood or doing this or doing that, or I'm an accelerationist or all sorts of things. But when it comes down to it, we proved on J17th and the way people got scared because of J6, it proved that most of them are not really about it. And the ones of us who are, like yourself, Mando, who showed up at your capital, and like the many others who showed up at their capitals, most of us who really are about it and go out there saying we know the repercussions and we're going anyways, we're going to be disavowed by the movement because the movement does not want, the majority of it do not want to be associated with the people who are serious. And that's all it proved. So when you say why, because the boys got caught up in the heat of the moment and they wanted to experience history where they could say, hey, we're inside the building of the people who continue to oppress us.
And I think the big thing here is you're giving us a lot of information right now that...
Say again. Not yet. Say again. Sorry.
You're giving us a lot of information right now that nobody outside of your circle has really been privy to.
Well, I've had no chance to. I have nowhere.
I get that. And
I'm not going to sit. I'm not going to sit and spread a message on MeWe to a continual dumpster fire. And Parler, which is where most of us were getting the message out of, is shut down. And Twitter had continually suppressed my account, and so I just said, screw it with Twitter. Nobody pays attention to my Twitter account. I mean, I had almost 2,000 followers, but nobody paid attention anyways because nobody's on Twitter much anymore. So where am I supposed to get where am I supposed to explain? All due respect, Mando, that's where I'm at. I have nothing. My YouTube shut down. Instagram's hardware banned. Facebook's hardware banned. It's not like I have a website I can go to where I can say, my YouTube still has like 30 days left on a ban. There's no way for me to get my message out. So then everybody sits at home going, look what Mike Dunn did again. I'm going to be pissed at this. I'm not going to go out and protest on J17th because I think it's scary. And that's what most of the movement did. Guys like you stood up. The other ones, and that's what has disgusted me. You guys are putting in the work, and these people are taking credit because they want to post a meme and act cool, but they're not really about it.
Yeah. Well, those people kind of outed themselves really, really hard this week. Which is like we said, there are some reasons that are legitimate, and I'm totally okay with that. It's just
there were some guys, even in Kentucky here, the reason they didn't make it was they had real personal and home stuff that popped up.
Definitely.
One guy had to meet with a professor for his classes. Another guy's truck broke down. That's gonna stop.
Yeah, we had that happen in Virginia. 2 guys, their truck broke down. But it's the fact that you have hundreds in the state group chats, sometimes even over 1,000, and then you have 3, 4, 5, or 10 show up. It proves that most of them are memers, 90%, and there's 10% of us that are actually serious. And the the most popular question or statement I get is, "Oh, you haven't been charged, you haven't been arrested or anything, and you're a Fed." Or the other famous one that is always said, "He was arrested a little while back and released really quick." That's interesting. I got arrested on a trespassing charge, which was a $2,500 unsecured bond. It was out in 8 hours. That's normal. And two, I don't get arrested because I generally cover myself legally, and I know where I can go to test the limits of the law without them actually doing anything. It's like when in Richmond, when we defied the open carry law, we already knew that the police department would say they're not breaking the law. And so we did it, and media said they're breaking the law. It's all about perspective, and a lot of the movement is missing that as well. Sorry if I cut you off, Mando.
I think something should be said here. There's guys that want to go out there and make change. We do have to recognize there is a large portion of the movement that is here in the mentality of prepping and being ready. And they don't want to be out there. They want to make sure that their home front is safe, and they don't know how to take care of their people when shit pops off. So I do think, I mean, there's a large portion of the movement. I'm not saying all of them. I mean, some people
doing the same. You're right. They're doing the same thing the Republican Party has done for the past 120 years.
Yeah.
And if that's,
and the Libertarian Party too, like they want to.
Yeah.
They want to do this stuff, and I do not fault you for wanting to do that, but don't pretend like you're helping, because being in your castle covering your ass is not helping the movement. It's just you.
And if all people want to do as far as like their meetups and stuff go, if they just want to meet up with their guys, make sure their guys are prepped, teach them things, go train, that stuff is excellent too. That stuff is very beneficial, because maybe one of those guys that's getting experience from somebody else is going to be the next one that one of us is standing next to.
Potentially, yep.
Yeah. So I mean,
with that being said, if you're that person, do not judge the people who are out here having to put in the work, because some 1, 2, 3 of us, some of us are going to have to stand and be out here in the open. And the ones who are behind the scenes that may be prepping and may be doing their thing, they're going to be, it's kind of like the saying, you know, they came for the communists, I didn't speak for the communists. They came for the fascists, I didn't speak for the fascists. They came for the Jew, I didn't speak for the Jew. And then they came for me and there was no one left to speak for me. Don't be that person. You know, if you're prepping, that's cool, but don't sit here and I guess my biggest message to the community is don't sit here and judge the ones of us that are out here trying to put in the work, and we get stuck in the limelight because we're the only ones out here.
Yeah. And if you want us to be quiet because you want to be Boogaloo, but you don't want to be associated with the stuff that's going on out on the street, stop associating with the Boog, because this is a voluntarist group. You can't expect you can't expect other people to change their ways to fit your needs. That's not how voluntarist society works. You change your situation, you adapt, you make your decisions. We have the right to voluntary association, and that covers disassociation as well. No one, people give these ultimatums and stuff like that, but without realizing that they're ultimatums. And I think,
you know how many of these, how many of the, well, it's like how many of the councils try to tell me what I could and couldn't say. I cannot list how many came to me
I'm
trying to control
councils.
yeah, I am too. But they came to me with this idea of trying to control me, and then when they couldn't, they wanted to blacklist me. And I'm sitting here saying, how can a movement blacklist me? You know, a movement can't blacklist me. Your faction can. But you know, I had one council told me, he said, we'll rip those Hawaiian colors off your back because I didn't want to do something their way. And I'm sitting here like, you know, this is not the movement I joined. The movement I joined in early 2020 that I got involved in 2019 and became outspoken about in 2020 was a movement that was autonomous. You came in, you did your piece, and whether somebody agreed with you or not, you did it. You know, we stood.
Well, yeah, because we have the common ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when was it?
I think something that really needs to be focused on is we're all going to have a part to play, and not everybody is supposed to do the same thing. So I mean.
No.
That's fair, Mando.
That will be ill-prepared.
Not liking the role that someone else took. I mean, don't fight about it. Just take what you're doing. If you're training, if you're prepping, if you're raising money to equip other boys, whatever you're going to do, just take it seriously and do your best at what you're good at.
That's what I was saying about Henry from Ohio was, we disagreed on the Antifa thing, and I made it clear that I disagreed about the Antifa aspect, but I never called him out by name. And he'll tell you, I don't know if you've thought about having him on or if you already have, but he'll tell you, I've support. Yeah, you should, but he'll tell you that I've supported him because he's actually doing something. And so I definitely agree with you, Mando, 1000%.
Oh God.
10 minutes.
Well, I really think that I hope that this will open up like some sort of like I'm gonna try and get you guys contact swapped if you guys haven't already done it, because like I think that we need to speak to each other though. And while the social media platforms out there are not exactly the best places to rely on, because I'm constantly going, don't put your feet on ground they can rip out from underneath you. Or don't rely on the ground, at least. Put your feet on it if you want to, but make sure you have something to fall back on. I think that we need to work really hard about trying to keep the communication lines open. And especially outside of the group, like these fucking like public groups and shit like that, where anybody can come in. And I just don't think they're very conducive for spreading information because they scroll so fast and they're full of shit posters and
like that. Or you go to the Telegram, the Boogaloo Intel drop, which is full of baloney. You got that type of stuff. I've always tried to be open with my line of communication. I post it everywhere. My email is mikedunnboog@gmail.com. My Snapchat is KMDCountry23 that's my Snapchat. We just started a Telegram called Last Sons of Liberty (Mike Dunn). So Mando, reach out to me, brother. I'll be glad to talk to you. Anybody watching this, I've always posted the communication.
Mike, I mean, aside from what we try to do organizationally, I mean, the entire thing with the Vanguard is we try to make sure everybody's networked and we try to make sure that information gets out there to people. So if there's information that you need to get spread, go to me or go to Nate and we'll make sure it gets out there.
Yeah.
And I'll do the same
we're really good at it.
I do I'll do the same in my channels as well. When you guys presented with a flyer, I tried to spread that as much as possible. But I definitely will. What I want to get out is this video because I think it's been very constructive for everybody, for myself. I hope that it's been constructive for you gentlemen as well.
I see the point here was, okay, we talked about what happened and what explained. I'm not here to cast some blanket judgment on you. People have the information. Yeah. Let them do with that what they will.
Let them make their own decision. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I've been about is, let them make their own decision. And if they're going to judge me, at least give me the chance to speak for myself on whatever situation they're judging me for. That's all I've ever asked for. That's all I've ever wanted. Like I said, I do not fear the movement canceling me because the movement can't. I have a lot of support, a lot of undying support, and I'll maintain that if I have to create my own movement. But I'm a Boogaloo boy in my heart. I had stepped away for a bit to take a break because there was so much going on. Like now I'm about to go dark. I'm going to go camping for a couple of months to just breathe. I mean, I have been going at this steadily for a year in the open. I've got emails, thousands that I haven't gotten to. I'm working on them sitting here now, trying to work on this stuff. So I'm going into the woods for a little while, do some camping, take a break, step away from society because generally society disgusts me. I know when I come back out that I can take up the anti-Biden poster just as easily as I took up the anti-Trump poster, if not easier because it's not my background, and do the same thing, take my stand. And I want anybody and everybody to reach out to me. If you have something to say, I'll be glad to talk. If it can be talked about sensibly and maturely. So I definitely appreciate the time, gentlemen.
Yeah. No problem. And I mean, y'all don't fucking expect him to jump back right away. He does have a lot to do. Honestly, I hate to say that I'm glad that you're gonna be gone, but honestly, I want you to have this break. I want you to have this break so bad.
Well, I don't think what people I don't think a lot of people. Well, a lot of people don't understand, man. I was trying to explain to somebody the other day. I can't say who, but there was somebody from a state agency that had contacted me a little while back, because there's been a lot of interest in your sheriffs, their sheriff department. There's been interest in the Boogaloo movement from people who are voted in into those positions that I believe are good people. They're not like your state patrol. They're not like your federal agents. But he reached out to me and he said, Mike, you must be stressed a lot. And that's all he wanted to say. He said, just letting you know, some of us in law enforcement, we back what y'all do. And thank you. And now, obviously, that conversation ended there. I generally don't converse much more than that because I do not like working with working anything with state, local law enforcement is not my thing. But a lot of people don't realize that, man, is for the past year, I've been going diehard at this. When they killed Duncan in March, I realized if I'm going to have a voice, I have to make my face known. So if they do the same thing to me, they're going to have a harder time getting away with it. And so I went at it full speed. And I've got people that, I've known or been connected to. Everybody in the movement has this, but arrested. The feds, it's almost like they're watching my every move. I've been visited a couple of times, just wanting to ask questions. And I've sat here and said, I'm not answering your questions. I have nothing to say to you. Anytime something happens in the movement, I'm going to end up getting a phone call. Hey, do you know about it? No, I know nothing about this, repeatedly. And then people think, it must be fun to be in the spotlight. No, I've got media calling me every time. I had media call me and say, hey, we had other colleagues say that you plan on bombing the state capitol. Would you like to talk about this? And I'm sitting here like,
well, if I
this is going to go to the feds.
Why would I talk about it?
Yeah. And then I have somebody else reach out to me that says, hey, man, and this is true story. And obviously, once again, I'll probably get a visit from the feds over this, but the dude's a Trumper, and so be it. I'm not going to say his name, but I had somebody reach out to me and say, hey, man, what about a car bomb? And I'm sitting here going, that violates the NAP. I'm not going to support that. But people want to sit here and say, it must be fun. It must be cool to be in the limelight. You wanted it for the clout. If I could give it away, I would. But all I know is I'm going to keep doing what I believe is right. And if that brings the limelight, it brings it. I'm going to deal with it. But I'm getting gray hairs from this. I'm going to take a couple months to do some training. Yeah, right. I'm gonna take a couple months to do some training, go off grid for a little while, not listen to the news, not pay attention to anything going on. My boys will be visiting me every 2 to 3 weeks, making sure I'm good. And yeah, and when I come back, I'll come back. Obviously, if things pop off, me and my boys will be locking down Virginia, but my boys will keep me updated on some things that I need to know when I come back. I'll have spent some time away, spent time in nature, doing some thinking without other people's involvement. And some reading, some studying, and ready to go back full force. And so when I say that I'm going dark, just know that I'll be back, and I'll be back with a passion that I've had. And if I don't come back, it's probably because the feds have arrested me. And if they do that, I guess I'll be back when I get back.
Well, I hope that doesn't fucking happen. You better be knocking on wood over there or something.
I do the best I can to stay clean. I don't talk about dumb stuff over the phone. You'll learn that a lot of people that have been arrested in the movement, it comes through phone conversations. I don't do that stuff. We have meetings. There is no phones present, no wires, no nothing. And when we go and break the law, we generally understand how far we can push it. It's like you can break certain city ordinances if you have 20 people present and they don't know the identity of 19 of them. They cannot do nothing about it, because if they have to charge one, they have to charge all. And if they can't charge all, they can't charge one. And people don't realize that there are a lot of ways around this stuff. If you take the time, think it out, run your group efficiently, you can get away with this stuff. So why haven't I been arrested? Because I got a freaking awesome team that planned this stuff out, and we're very careful. But anyways, I hope I've answered the questions that you have.
Maybe one day in the future I could get you on just to talk about that.
I'd love to, without violating OPSEC. I totally would.
Yeah, to help people kind of get an idea of what to do and what not to do as best as you can, obviously.
Oh, and let me specify one thing. One of the tweets floating around that I tweeted, which said we had, I believe, 4 Boogaloo boys activated inside the Capitol and 7 Boogaloo boy teams, fire teams activated outside. The Capitol is DC. CAPITAL is DC. Not the Capitol building, but the Capitol is DC. And having 16 people inside of DC literally means nothing. But people took that tweet and went haywire with it. So I just wanted to specify that as well.
I was about to
that I felt
actually
that was
ask about that
stretching a
before
bit.
you left because I was curious about the
Yeah,
fire team,
go ahead.
the fire team thing. Yeah, like
Fire team is
what
literally
does
just
that even mean?
So in the Marine Corps, when we said fire team, it was 4 dudes out of our squad. You know, so if you had a squad or three fire teams or 4 fire teams, it was just divided into 4 guys. You know, four guys on a fire team or whatever, and that's all it meant to us was we had 4 people, 4 fire teams, 4 guys. So 4 fire teams would be 16 guys, 4 guys per fire team. That's what it meant to us. You know, so when we say fire teams, it's like when I'm talking to my guys and we're running a gray man up with no firearms, I'll still say, hey, fire team 1, I want you at such and such a place. Fire team 2, I want you at such and such a place. And that's 4 guys on fire team 1, go here. 4 guys on fire team 2, go there, you know, and so on.
That makes so much more sense. I'm clueless when it comes to those kinds of terms. Like I'm still learning this kind of shit and everything. And to
Well,
me, I
I'm
saw
gonna
that
have to
and I went, "Oh
I'm gonna
my
have to get off of here.
god!"
I appreciate both of your time.
Yes, dude. Be safe. Well, as safe as you can be, but ultimately, stay free.
I try to be.
We'll see you soon. Thank you so
Always
much for
Six
coming
Semper
and
Tyrannis.
talking
Thank you,
and stuff
Mando.
like that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mando. Six Semper
See you
Tyrannis.
soon. That was nice. Did
It
you
went
have
well.
anything that you wanted to say in closing before I pull this around?
Well, like I said, the whole reason I wanted to come on here was to, everybody's had questions about what's been going on with Mike, and I hear a lot of them, even in chats where you're not seeing me pop
Yeah.
up. I follow a lot. I don't have time to respond usually, especially when I'm at work. But I've been taking note of everybody's questions, and I thought, let's hear it from the horse's mouth. So we've heard the facts of what he said, what happened, and everything. It's still up to everyone else to make their own decision on how they feel about that. So I mean, that's pretty much sums that up.
Ultimately, though, as a wide, broad movement, it doesn't matter whether we're okay with what each other does. If everybody decides that they're not going to talk to somebody, there's nothing that can be done about that. But also, I just see so many people out there expecting not just Mike, but other people to change the way that they do things in order to interact with the rest of their group or whatever. And like I've even seen, like I don't think that's right. I'm not in a voluntarist type organization. Well, I wouldn't call it an organization. It's not even organized. But
I've had, well, I mean,
what I meant was in the individual groups and
Yeah.
stuff, not as an organization, because it's not.
I've had people, involving the Vanguard and stuff, like straight like get pissed at me, and I have not heard from them since because they didn't. Okay, you don't like how it's going. I'm not mad at you. Go do your thing.
Yeah.
It's
Like I'm surprised so many people like are chill with me because like when somebody says something about this or that, I'm like, well, okay, too bad. I mean, like that's what they're doing. I'm not gonna do that.
Hi.
Hi.
He
You
wouldn't
got-
let me say hi to Mike Dunn because he's mean.
Mike was on a time limit. We had to
I
let him
know,
get
but I
done.
wanted to
Time
take
limit.
like 30 seconds.
Mando, you're such a tyrant.
Yeah.
I was actually called that.
Exposed.
I was actually called a tyrant. So
That
there
was
is
I
that.
just can't even.
but
I
that was
can't
by
even
a
imagine
troll, so
that
that's
shit.
true.
But I
Yeah.
can't even imagine that shit. But the truth
I'm a
is, we're
troll.
all a bunch of people that are just
kidding.
doing our own thing together, and I think that for the most part, it's been beautiful to watch. And moving forward, I think that we only have like better things to see from it. The Libertarian Party better watch their fucking platform because it's not gonna be it's not gonna be all that in a bag of chips too much longer if we keep going at it like this.
Well, and that's something else that I wanted to bring up. That's been a concern, and I started to hit on this. People talked about the 17th being a trap.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, look, Biden's already talking about his war on domestic terrorism.
Yep.
That was going to happen either way.
It was.
And like I said, they know who we are. We have to be smart and conduct ourselves accordingly.
Yeah,
Because as
I
much as they
mean,
want to call us a terrorist, if you don't do anything that is an actual terroristic action, they really don't have anything on you.
yeah. Or say that you're gonna do. Don't say that you're gonna do something. I mean, but all these people screaming about OPSEC and shit like that, half of you motherfuckers are on a public social media platform, and that just makes me roll my fucking eyes right out of my skull and
We were
across the
all on
floor.
Facebook.
Yeah,
They've got their lists of us.
they know exactly. Yeah, unless you have like been watching and checking yourself for a long time, they know exactly who you are. And even if you have, they probably still know exactly who you are. Um, and if they don't know exactly who you are, they have a profile for you with some sort of fucking code name or something they've given you. Um,
Right.
they know who you are. They know who you are. And just I just all those people out there who are saying, like be quiet, stop talking about it, don't do that shit, or let's reban so they can't find us and all that other crap. It's too fucking late. Stop crying about it and go underground and do your job there, or just say fuck it like the rest of us have. I mean, like, also, I mean, like, Mando, he puts himself at a great risk. He has something to risk. Like, there's a lot of us, like myself and Mike, who don't have that risk. We don't have,
Yeah.
like, my kid is far away from me. Nobody can fucking touch him. Not here. Like, I made sure that there was nothing that would be there for me to be attached to at that point. And it wasn't for this. Like, I've always been, well, when things started getting strange back in the days of like Whiskey Warrior and shit like that, I was like, we need to not all be up on top of each other and shit. Um, but it's gonna happen. Like, I'm sure that they know everything about me. Um, and I don't give a goddamn. But if Mando can fucking do it, despite the fact that there's obvious risk to him, then I don't understand why some of you guys can't. I understand why some of you can't, but there's a lot of you who don't really have that kind of thing. You're just making an excuse. Stop being afraid. It's upon us. Without trying to be fucking dramatic or anything, it's upon us.
It is. And like I said, we've all got our parts to play. Nobody should feel bad about not putting their face out there, and nobody should feel bad about needing training or needing gear. Not only did the three of us walk out in front of that state capitol Sunday, I mean, it's not uncommon to be poor in Kentucky, and there was not a plate between the three of us.
See, at the beginning of getting involved with people, I was really nervous about that. I was like, what if I don't have all the right shit? What if this? What if that? But the first time I came together with people, I realized, wait, we don't, like, most of us don't all, like, have the same shit or anything like that. Everything is different. Everybody's at different levels. There's going to be new people. There's going to be old people.
Oh, and
We need to be
props to the
paying
Courier
attention.
Journal, because they made us look pretty badass, honestly.
Yeah, those photos were really good. Honestly, there were a lot of pretty badass photos. I got kind of pissed off about the ones they did here because to me it looks like they darkened it to make us look more sinister. Because I took a picture of the same thing that they took a picture of and didn't alter it at all and put them next to each other. And like theirs is all like dark and like kind of washed out looking, and we look like fucking scuzzy, scary motherfuckers, right? And mine, it's like a brilliant blue sky and it's sunny and the flowers are popping and like one of us looks like this fucking happy French dude, and like everybody is like colorful and normal, and it didn't look scary at all. It just looked like some, well, I mean, I guess if you're afraid of guns it looks scary, but for the rest of us it didn't really look that scary. So like some of those fucking media people out there are jackasses still, but I'm gonna count it as an overall win, to be honest, because we fucked their narrative. We fucked it left, right, sideways, upside down, and we did not pay when we were done. Like,
Right.
holy shit. And
like some
I
of
just
us have
couldn't be
said,
prouder. I couldn't be prouder of everybody who went out there.
Like some
And
of
for
us
those
said,
of
props to
you,
the FBI. They've been one hell of a press agent for us.
yeah. And those of you who couldn't, like we've said a bazillion times, but wanted to be there, we get it. But those of you who those of you who came to me afterwards and said that you guys didn't go because you were scared, and that was all, or something, or because you thought it was going to get spicy, or because you didn't want to put your, like you just had a bazillion fucking excuses. Fuck y'all. I see you, and I'm not going to trust that tomorrow. Get off your eaves, get off your out of your armchair, and get real. Or
Right.
because like if you're gonna associate with this movement and you don't want to get real, you're gonna get drug in whether you like it or not. If you're running around with all the symbolism and all this the speak and all that shit. Stop playing games. It's gonna hurt you, and you don't want to be hurt. So stop. And I'm not trying to run anybody out. Like if you want to, but you can't yet, fucking keep working at it. Well, like reach out to people. People will help you. But did you have anything else you wanted to add before I circle this around and close this out, Mando?
Uh, not really. I think we're pretty covered here.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this was an excellent chance for people to get a different view and for people to be able to speak and shit like that. And hopefully there will be more of that in the future. Um, you guys, if you liked this or you hated it or you hate Mando or you hate Mike or you love Mando or you love Mike or whatever, just get down in the comments and say something. We'll hit back. If it's stupid though, I'm gonna give you a stupid answer. Stupid games get stupid prizes. I promise. I promise you that with me. Um, also, please like and please share this. Share it around everywhere. Share it in your group, share it to your friends. This is one that we really need to get out. I think that this is something that everybody needs to fucking see. So please, please, please share this. If you like what we do here and you would like to help us do what we do, contact one of us, send us an email. You can hit contact at madlibertyparty.com or any of our links below. We will fucking hit you up and get you in here helping us because we could use all the help we can get. And that's from people who want to be live on the ground to people who want to talk theory to people who want to actually do like behind the scenes activism to people who want to freaking help us manage our social media circles or whatever, our groups or anything like that. We could take all the help we get because people who are like good at being on the ground live don't know how to manage a MeWe group. You know what I mean? Like we need people of all kinds. Get your ass in here. Aside from that, if you don't have time, but you do have some money, you can toss that to us. We are just below our monthly bills, I should say, of keeping our internet face out there and stuff like that. And everything that goes over that, all the donations that we get go to the LiberTEA Fund, which we put directly back into the movement. Not just this movement, any fucking movement that stands for the same shit that we stand for, like, um, we will throw them things. We're like, oh my God, we love what you're doing. Here, have some fucking money. Um, we don't keep it. We are not using it to be comfortable. We're using it to actually fund liberty. So if you want to help with that on a monthly basis, get down into our subscribe star. If you want to help in an individual basis, you can do that there too, or you can hit up any of the other things. Just give us your filthy, dirty white market money and we'll deal with it. Or we have Coinbase for our crypto and shit like that. Please don't buy white market crypto and think that you're safe, but we'll still take it anyways. Um, later on this week, I have some different things showing up. I'm probably not going to do a show on Thursday because we're actually going to go on the World Pirate Radio Podcast Network. I had to think to make sure I got that out in the right order on Friday. And I'm gonna probably drag Mando, and I know I'm taking Country Boy with me, and we're gonna go talk about the 17th on a different show, trying to spread the word and get that out there because like I was mentioning it to them, and we've been in contact because they want me to come on and talk about the Mad Liberty Tea Party and stuff like that. But when I mentioned this, they were like, holy crap, could we do that like tomorrow? And I was like, oh, I don't have any pictures to give you or anything. And I want to bring other people with me because I'm not the only one that went out. Can we do it later? And they were like, Friday. Let's do it Friday. And I was like, okay, we'll get it done. We'll get her done. So I'm still gonna try doing the daily episodes and shit like that as soon as I can get back into the swing of my sleep schedule. But dealing with all you fucking night sleepers out there has fucked me up, and we're working with it until I guess until we see you on Friday if you tune in, and I hope you do. This episode of Stirring, it's supposed to say stirring, not spilling. God damn it. Well, this episode is fucking adjourned, and I misnamed it, and fuck this, and fuck the government, and fuck Connecticut,